So over the past few days, I had a couple of posts on the Freedom Board that were kind of interesting. One was from a person who had said that he almost missed his anniversary because his computer had problems. There's a problem in the hard drive. So basically, I think that meant his quit meter wasn't working. And because of that, he almost missed his 1 year anniversary. Then there was a woman who had said that she had almost missed her anniversary. And the only reason she remembered it is because her husband reminded her, oh, you quit a year ago. And up to that point in time, she'd forgotten that had occurred. That was interesting. I used to encounter this all the time. I'd run into clinic graduates on a pretty regular basis when I was doing live programs for decades, basically, in a limited area. It was pretty much every few days I'd run into a person who had quit smoking, and some had been off for years, and some had been off for decades. And one of the most frequent questions I would get from them, they'd be real happy. They would tell me that, oh, they've quit, they've been fine, they're doing well, and they're very happy. They were happy to see me. But one of the first questions I would get, the most frequent question I would get is, when was it that I quit smoking? And in the early days, I actually had to get back to them because I had to go home and get onto my computer and find a record. It's around 2000, maybe actually a few years before 2000, I carried a Palm Pilot with me that I had the data of all the people who'd been through, of when they came through, and I would tell them the exact date that the clinic started. That was a date that they had quit smoking. Often people would guess a year and they'd be wrong. They'd be off sometimes by years, but they really couldn't remember the date and they couldn't remember the year. That's interesting when you think about it. You know, because most people, when they're thinking about quitting smoking, they're thinking like, oh, they're going to be struggling forever. It's going to be hard. They're going to be fighting forever. They'll never forget it. And it'll become such a crucial date when they stop smoking that it's going to be like their birthday or anniversary. And, you know, for some people it is. But for a lot of people, it's not. And you know why it's not? Because their life just goes on without smoking, and not smoking becomes the habit to them, and it becomes not that big of a deal anymore. Now, it is a big deal, but not one that they have to fixate and focus on all the time to never smoke again. It's a big deal when something reminds them about it. When they would run into me, oh, it's a big deal, they don't smoke anymore. I kind of wish people would keep it a little bit of a bigger deal than that, but you know what? It's not essential if they don't. And that's the important point. I don't want new people who are thinking about quitting smoking to go into sites and watch these people who say, oh, they're having to do this every day for the rest of their life to keep their quit going, and thinking like, you know, I just don't have that time to commit to something like this. Well, you don't have to commit to something like this. I always say I want people to wake up every day and say they're not going to smoke, go to bed at the end of the day and congratulate themselves for doing it. If they do that, if they spend those seconds, and I mean seconds, that'll be all they'll have to do. But you know what? In most cases, they don't even do that. And they still successfully stay off smoking over the long term. Don't feel like you're going to struggle forever. Don't feel like you're going to have to use willpower for the rest of your life and massive amounts to be able to successfully stay off. That's not what it takes. There's only one thing it takes to stay off once you quit. And that really is just remembering that at some point you made, and now you're sticking to a personal commitment to never take another puff.